According to several reports, Washington Wizards point guard John Wall could miss the rest of the season. The five-time All-Star reportedly needs heel surgery that will take 6 to 8 months to recover. This season, Wall is averaging just under 21 points and 9 assists a game. Tonight on NBA TV, we have a doubleheader. First up, the Beard versus the Brow. James Harden has led the Houston Rockets to wins in 8 of their last 9 games. Anthony Davis snapped a 5-game losing streak last night with a season-high 48 points, 17 rebounds against Dallas. What can we expect from an encore? Speaking of encore performances, the Portland Trail Blazers and the Golden State Warriors had an overtime session on Thursday. They're back at it in our doubleheader tonight. And what a night it is, loaded with the league's best scorers. Welcome to the Auto Trader pregame show. Our broadcast all-stars, David Griffin, Brendan Hayward here with you.
What's going on, fellas?
What do you got going on there, Brendan? Are you, I think you're breaking some rules. You think you're LeBron?
What do you mean? I'm not breaking any rules. This is what we get to do now.
King Haywood can do what he wants to do.
Start the show off with a little Merlot or something like that.
He
For the
can roll
people
in
out there,
however he
I
feels good
doubt
Griff, you
that
want
is
some?
vino in the cup. No way. Pelicans and Rockets tip off in just over 30 minutes. Let's head to the nation's capital first, discuss the breaking news with the Wizards. John Wall reportedly could be out for the season with a heel injury. Keyword there, could. Candace Buckner from the Washington Post joins us now. Candace, first piece of clarification we need there, the word if is still surrounding John Wall, whether or not he'll elect to have surgery that will end his season. What's the timetable on making that decision?
It seems like it'll be a couple of days, but he's on the path to he's on the path to surgery. He actually is back in the building today, and he's walking around with a bulky walking boot, and that's a telltale sign that he has to stabilize the left heel. And as Scott Brooks said at his pregame availability, he kept saying it is likely to happen. So it's the end of the 2018-2019 season for John Wall, it appears to be.
Candace, there were stretches last year where this Wizards team, in John's absence, played some of their best ball of the season, but that requires that Otto Porter be healthy as well. Where is he in his return to play, and what does it look like for that Wizards team if John does miss extended time?
There's a lot of pain surrounding this season, and Otto Porter's about to miss his 10th game of the season. He hasn't had a stretch this long of missed games since his rookie season. He's dealing with a muscle strain in his quadriceps, and although it seems like he's cleared to play, the Wizards want to have a practice with him before throwing him back out on the court because it has been so long. But yeah, there were some things that worked last year, especially early on with Thomas Satoransky at the point, because more guys had to step up. By the end of that 8 weeks, because remember, John Wall missed 8 weeks with the left knee debridement last season. By the end of that 8 weeks, they were slowing down. Thomas was slowing down, and they did need Wall to come back. But I would imagine, the Wizards have danced this dance before. They know how to fill in without him. But right now, Otto's out. Markieff Morris could be out for a little while with an upper back neck issue that he's been dealing with. And, of course, Dwight Howard, who they brought in this summer, expecting him to be this great option for them at the 5. He's still recovering from his spinal surgery. So who knows when the Wizards will look whole.
Guys looking like the walking wounded out there right now, but we have seen this Wizards team be in this situation before, and we've also seen them bounce back. What will this say about the Wizards and how they mix and mesh with John Wall moving forward if this team does make a run and go to the playoffs without John Wall being a part of the roster?
Ooh, look at you looking forward. They are 10 games below the 500 mark, and although they do play in the East, I totally get that. To be where they're at right now, they have dug themselves in quite a hole. I don't envision, a great rally, let's win one for the Gopher or Gipper, whatever that cliche is, type of movement happening. They're just, the hole is very big. The hole is very deep. So if they do make that push, as you say, that would be very interesting. But they are locked to John Wall, and John Wall is locked to them. Especially considering next year when that Supermax contract comes back. So no matter what happens this year, playoffs or not, John Wall will be back, and he'll be here for the long term. into his 30s. So something will have to be figured out between now and then.
Well, Brad's been carrying a load in December, playing almost 40 minutes a night, averaging 26, 6, and 6. Has there been any discussion as far as Scott Brooks saying, like, we have to lighten the load on Brad before we have an issue with him?
Yeah, that has to happen. And Scott Brooks is a big believer that it's not just the game minutes. He believes that, shortening their time in practices and shoot around and things that we don't get a chance to see, that will help him along. But still, Brad had to do a lot last year in the absence of John Wall. Although they had Thomas Satoransky filling in at the point guard, Brad had to play make. He had to, create for himself. And we saw a little bit of a preview of that last night in the fourth quarter. It was basically the Bulls versus Brad Beal, and he couldn't beat the Bulls by himself. And moving forward, he's going to need some help, and he will be playing a lot of minutes. I totally see that happening, but there's got to be somewhere or somebody on this roster to kind of be his Robin.
Candace Buckner, appreciate your time. Thank you for your insight from the Washington Post. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, Griff, let's start with you, because if you're a GM like Ernie Grunfeld, there's a lot that you have to handle with this team and trying to figure out where you're going. So let's start with John Wall. Next year, that Supermax kicks in. 4 years, $170 million. This will be the second season in which his year comes to an end early. How much of his albatross is that on this roster now, seeing what John has been through the last 2 years?
Well, it's worse of an albatross if you don't have him take care of it now, and if you don't get in front of it. The timeline that you've seen sort of rumored out there of 6 to 8 months of return to play would indicate that the injury is actually a spur on the Achilles insertion of his heel. And that's a significant issue. And in order to repair that and have him come back properly, you need to give him as much time as possible. So I think doing this now and getting in front of it is a big part of protecting the asset value you have in the contract. But even if he's healthy, if the team's not playing well and they're 10 games below 500, it's not a contract you feel good about. But they absolutely have to protect the asset value they have now and let him take as long as it takes to get right.
Brendan, last year without John Wall, this team was 20-21. So there should be some sort of optimism right now. Candace didn't seem like she had that for the team. Is it just because of where they're at now? And if John is out for the rest of the season, it's not like he's coming back.
I think it's because the situation is different. Last year, a lot of those other guys we talked about were healthy. Otto Porter was healthy. Kelly Oubre was a part of that team. And so when you see where this team is now, with Austin Rivers being shipped out, Kelly Oubre being traded, injuries to Dwight Howard and many others on this roster, it's hard to say whether they're going to be able to make a move because, yeah, they made that move last year, and Satoransky was able to do some things as far as kicking the ball ahead to guys like Otto and Beal and letting them eat. Instead of dominating the way John Wall plays. But this year, I'm not sure if they have the depth to do that or make that run. But it will be telling how this team bounces back and how they respond. Because if they do make this type of run, there's going to be a lot of whispers and a lot of people saying, hey, what should we do about that contract? And the fact of the matter is, everybody in D.C., you're stuck with it.
Well, in a weird sort of way, that would actually make it worse for Ernie and for Tommy Shepard. If they go on a great run in the absence of John Wall, now that number really does look like an albatross. And what I think is fascinating is for stretches last year, and we talked to Candace about it, this team looked as good as they looked all year. And Otto Porter, while he was healthy, was also much more ball dominant. They went to him, they asked him to make plays for other people, and he responded. So the number he's on sort of requires that he be asked to carry more of a load. So you can make Otto look more valuable and more worthy of the number he makes and still be in jeopardy of making John's number look even worse than it does currently.
Certainly, I think when the trade deadline comes around, you and I will be sitting here having a discussion if whether or not the Wizards will be buyers or sellers. Can't wait.
Buyers? What are they going to buy? They got a whole team full of bad contracts.
Therefore, sellers it will be.
Clint Capella. Places? Sell.
Clint Capella is a player you'd like to buy. The Houston Rockets have him against the New Orleans Pelicans, game you're going to see right here on NBA TV.
Winter orange juice future.
Frozen conscious.
No LeBron, but no excuse. Lakers not good in the second half. And by the way, that's Los Angeles against L.A., the Lakers being Los Angeles. It took me like 2 years to understand. I saw this board, I'm like, who won? you're not going to be happy if you're Luke. You're not going to be happy if you're LeBron, who basically is sitting there and pretty much, not coaching necessarily, but in his mind, and I'm sure in the timeouts, when he put the wind down, was doing that. And you're watching a team where you're looking for, both of you guys, young players to step up. And they really let mistakes get in their way, especially defensively in the second half.
Yeah, and I think for them it's still a learning period. As you can see, the Clippers still ran their offense, and I think it was a total effort when you're talking about that entire Clipper team. I think they just wore down the Lakers. And they're missing some bodies other than LeBron and Rondo. JaVale McGee is another guy that's out. They are going to continue to learn. I like the way they played, but now it's time to start to understand this. There's going to be some guys like Lance Stevenson comes off the bench, KCP. Those guys are going to have to add to this team for them to be able to get some wins.
Did you say bench? I know this because I've failed miserably in a league we were in fantasy football. And the worst thing is, when you see all the points on your bench, not in the NBA, that's good. 71? Not good for the Lakers. That's 71 bench points for the Clippers, 36 for Lou Will.
Listen, that's the story of the game. The bench points, Lou Will come off the bench, Montrezl Harrell. He's been a great find off the bench all year long, but the Clippers bench basically determined this game. They dictated how things were going to be played, and the Lakers just never responded to it. And we know what Lou Will can do. And this Clipper team went through a little lull. They were missing Lou Williams. I think with this game he announced, Smitty, he's officially back. He's officially back.
You know, you mentioned Harrell, and we were talking about this a couple nights ago. He's played so well. How much because I think we wonder on the outside looking in as fans, where coach imprint fits and where you notice it. Doc has done such a great job, especially since becoming solely the coach again. But how much of what his culture is allows Harrell and the bench players, other than Lou Will, who we know we could score, can go ahead and have moments and time to play and have those moments?
You know what I love about Montrezl Harrell is just watching him since high school and in college and the NBA. The one thing is he's going to play extremely hard, but I think what he's benefiting right now is he can actually play their center spot, and because of his size, no one's can take advantage of him because they don't have a lot of guys that's going to go down and post up. And Doc's doing a nice job. We're going to start Boban, or we're going to start other guys and Gortat, and then we have him come off against the second unit. And with him is Lou Williams draws so much attention off the screen and roll, and when you allow him to run free, and the thing is I look at this day and age is guards used to try to box up B Wood and the bigs. Not that we could, but we was still running there and take that hit. He's getting a free run, no small wings or guards just trying to box him out, and he's going to get the basketball and putting it back up.
We've talked about this before because you played with him, B Wood. I've said LeBron could win the MVP every year.
Right.
He really could. If you're really legitimately looking at what does the team do with a guy and without a guy, another example of that in that second half where to stop the bleeding, we've seen even this many years in his career this season, he single-handedly can do that, go on an 8-0 run, facilitate and get open shots. Not having that's a big difference.
Well, yeah, when you're missing LeBron James, you're missing a lot. You're missing, first of all, your leader, the team engine, the guy that's used to having the ball in his hands. And what that does is it means everybody else has to play different roles when LeBron's not there. LeBron's usage is so high as a ball handler that now you have to get used to Lonzo Ball handling the ball. And he's a different type of ball handler. You need Kuzma to make more plays, Brandon Ingram. And so it definitely has a huge effect on the team. We already know that LeBron James not playing is definitely not good for your ball club. I mean, you saw that tonight. The Lakers team really played well in the second half against Golden State. Mm-hmm. They fought hard against Sacramento, lost a tough game. Tonight, I thought they let go of the rope a little bit. We really saw that they missed LeBron James on this court.
When you don't have a player like that for either of you, how much is the confidence, whether you want to think about you were yourself one of those players, and then you want to think about Tim, you want to think about LeBron, the safety valve of just knowing that guy's on the floor, so if I don't get mine, he's going to get his, and how much everybody maybe takes on too much when he's not on the floor.
Well, you know, superstars like the Tim Duncans and LeBron James and the Kobe's and those guys, all the eyes are on them. So obviously the kick out to other guys like myself is I can drive that closeout much easier. When there's no LeBron, then the guys are staying close to you, and now it makes it a 5-on-5 basketball game. When you have a superstar, they usually contract two guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's basically somebody's open for a free run, free rebound, open shots, longer looks, and I think that's where you look at you miss guys like that draw so much attention. Those guys draw two, it makes the game easier.
We have always tried to draw comparisons to bad TV shows we watch, or good ones, different strokes. The Gooch used to take all the lunch money.
All right.
The Vooch, he took everyone's lunch money
The Vooch!
tonight, like big time. Like, get out the way. Willis and nobody else was talking about anything except him after this game against Toronto. We'll tell you why. And Westworld, Valley of the Sun, something had to give.